Alright, today we are at North Valley in Minnesota playing the long blue layout if you've ever played here. I'm going to take you on a course vlog through all 18 holes here, and I want to prove to you that you are fully capable of playing 50 or even 60 rating points above your current average just by making a simple game plan adjustment, working with the skills that you already have. And I feel confident that I can prove that to you, that you have more in you than you think, because this video is an example of me, a 960s-ish disc golfer, spoiler alert, shooting what would be a 1030-ish rated round. Now, as we progress through the holes here, I'll always have the hole number, distance, and par in the top left corner off the tees, and then the disc that I'm throwing in the bottom left corner if that is of any interest to you. But for the sake of this video, the important thing is the bad shot tally in the bottom right corner, and that is what I want you to focus on as we progress through the rounds. Now, you might ask, why in the world would you want to count how many bad shots you've thrown? Why not count how many good ones? Well, I think it's really easy to watch the pros, the best of the best, throw these 1070 plus rated rounds and think to ourselves that if we ever want to break into that 1000 rated territory, then we have to play perfect. And in a nutshell, that is the point of this video, is to prove how far away from perfect you can be and still play out of your mind well. And it just comes down to making your mistakes in the right places and never compounding them. So that's mostly what I'm going to draw your attention to in this video, is my mistakes and how to recover from them. On hole 2, if you recall, I hit a pretty early tree off the tee, but I chose the simplest shot for recovery to try and avoid the catastrophe bogey. Even there, that was a pretty poor tee shot, pinned myself behind a tree. Choose the simplest possible shot to get out of jail there, and in this instance it's going to work out for a tap-in birdie. Now, as you saw, holes 3, 4, and 5 are all a little bit short and a little bit gimmicky, so not my favorite holes, but this one is a pretty good, solid test for a backhand turnover mid, basically whatever you're comfortable shaping to the right up the hill. Gives ourselves a 32-footer, and we're going to airball that thing into a different zip code. And so this is where I want to point out that amateur disc golf isn't pretty. Pro disc golf can be pretty, but amateur disc golf is almost never pretty. There was nothing elegant about that par, but it didn't hurt me either. So it's a good opportunity to just move on from a mistake. So be it. You're allowed to not be perfect. As you saw there, great tee shot on hole 7 gives us the super easy pickup birdie. Hole 8, one of the most unusual holes in the state of Minnesota. It's just not really a great hole in my opinion, but it does give you the opportunity to practice not getting too greedy, because if you try to ace run that, you usually end up with a 40-foot comebacker that's a little bit obstructed, and just like that, you make par in the easiest hole in the course. Hole 9, threw a good tee shot there, only about 110 feet left into the basket, but I threw this a little bit long, spins and rolls a little bit too, gives myself a 24-footer. And thankfully we're going to make it, but had I have missed that, the fault would have been less on the putt and more on the approach shot, because that was the errant one. So that was a good example of succeeding at that skill development. Don't follow up a bad shot with a worse one. Here on hole 10, pretty good tee shot, but this putt here is going to be a little bit interesting because we're going to make it, but it was a terrible stroke. Sometimes you throw a bad putt and it just kind of happens to go in. Like we've been saying, nothing about amateur disc golf ever has to be perfect. It's just too hard to play this game thinking that that's how it's got to be done. Speaking of not perfect, that tee shot was totally grounded. That only went about 250 feet. Leaves us a little over 400 feet into the basket here, and we kind of yank this one a little bit right too. But of the two sides to miss on, right was better there. Left is how you bring bogey into play. And so after two fairly poor shots in a row, you can't really ever expect to walk away with the birdie. So we're going to be just fine cleaning up for par there. On to hole 12 here, and this is my favorite hole in the course. It's not very long. That's not where it gets its challenge from. It's that it requires such a specific shot shape. You need that slightly understable putter or mid to get back there. And if you miss left or right, you hit something like we did there. We got a 28-footer to redeem ourselves, and we do. So that's a good example of taking advantage of a decent break. Hole 13, another pretty cool hole here. You got a couple options. This was the higher hyzer play to spike it into the ground. Otherwise, the straighter mid can work if you throw it a little lower too. This one went a good bit too far, and speaking of things that went too far, that putt was not anywhere near the chains. That being said, we all know player B has never missed a putt in his life, so we're just going to brush that one in real quick, and we're going to walk out of here with our par. Two mistakes in the same hole, so be it, it's going to happen. Hole 14, this is the signature shot. This is the one that people remember. You got about a 380-foot water carry. Got to stay left of this first grouping of trees, right of the second grouping of trees, and then left of the swamp once you're already over it. So it's a bit of a mouthful. That was our best tee shot of the day, though. That went about 450, and it's going to leave us about 90 feet in, and this was just terrible. Everything about that was yucky. And when you're 90 feet away, you really shouldn't have to make a tester at all, but here we are. Thankfully, we're going to go ahead and brush that in. We did not compound a mistake there, again, reiterating that key skill. Hole 15, for some reason this gap looks so open on camera. I swear it's much tighter than this, so this was pretty much a lace job as far as I'm concerned. Any kind of straight mid or maybe even putter is going to work through there. It's just got to hold straight. That's the key. Now at this point in the round, being 11 under through 15, I knew I was playing well. I knew that I had not really compounded any errors, which is obviously key. We're going to go ahead and hit an early tree there, though, on 16. And you can't really tell from the camera angle, but that was a bit of an obstructed putt, so we're not going to be overly mad about the putt because it was the tee shot that got us in trouble there. Then hole 17 is always a good hole, and it brings back good memories for me too, because this is the site of my best ace ever. I threw an S-line FD in this basket last year. This particular shot came up a little short, and we're going to make the putt, but we essentially missed it. It was a terrible putt. Everything about it did not deserve to go in, and sometimes the basket just kind of catches it. So again, nothing about amateur disc golf has to be perfect. Decent tee shot on 18 there. We overturned it just a little, but it's not really the place to be picky because there's plenty of room over there. We'll just throw a simple little glitch approach shot that's going to put us right under the basket, and we can go ahead and tap in to finish out our 13 under round, which is the best round that I've had to date at this course. From previous tournaments, 10 under has rated about 1,003, which means that our 13 under is going to rate about 1,030. And so it's funny because I threw plenty of poor shots there, and I made mistakes on over 70% of the holes, and so it just confirms the fact that for us amateurs, good disc golf is not mistake-free. Nothing about it is perfect, but it does avoid catastrophes and those compounded errors. And that's the answer in this video. That's the opinion that I'm trying to give to you, is that you're gonna make mistakes. Bad shots are gonna happen, but it's completely within your control to react in a relatively risk-free way. So keep it simple, choose the obvious lines, and I will see you next time.